As someone who's fell in love with running quite recently, I feel like time to time I find it very hard for other people who aren't runners to actually relate to me and the kind of stuff that I put myself through on a week by week basis. Now, this is quite a different video to what I usually put out on the channel, but I felt like I wanted to touch on this subject for some reason. This was a kind of video idea that really stood out to me too. And I guess as I get further into my running journey, now training for my 5th marathon, in a way, I feel like it does get a little isolating as you get further in and really only being able to vent to people like yourselves who watch my video or relate to. Um, yeah, and just feeling like sometimes it's a path that we walk in very much solitude. Because if we zoom out a little bit, we're training day in, day out for long periods of time 16 weeks, 20 weeks, sometimes even multiple years for events that we are really passionate about. And I know as runners, we all have different reasons for why we're running. And I feel like deep down for me, and I haven't really shared this on the channel too, and thinking back to when I was part of the Indigenous Marathon Project in 2023, we talk about something called our whys. So, as a first time marathoner back then, hitting the wall at 28 kilometers and realizing I had 14 kilometers left to get through, what was going to be my why or my reason that would help me get through those final 14 Ks? Only having completed 30 Ks as my maximum distance in my training before getting to the starting line at New York. Back then, it was to be a role model to other Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people to live more active and healthier lifestyles. But over the course of my own personal journey, I know that there's obviously deeper levels to my why, and also, in a way, it's continued to mold, shift, and change over the course of this period where I'm now actually the head coach of the program that I completed and training up 12 amazing people to also run their first marathon in the New York City Marathon in November this year. And upon reflecting on my why, I realized deep down it's a very much a personal motivation inside me too that gets me out of bed each day. In a way, running for me is a step further away from the dark place that I found myself in 2016. And with each run that I tick off, with each kilometer that I continue to rack up, that's one step further away from that dark place where I don't want to go back to. Don't get me wrong, I've got such a supportive network around me, especially full of runners, which I'm very appreciative to have, who all get the struggles and the discipline that it takes to get out there for the runs too. But I guess recently, especially getting home from, say, a long run, or even when I'm just catching up with some of my loved ones, it's just hard for them to really understand what I'm putting myself through in this journey. It's not realizing that I'm going to bed super early on the Friday night to get up so I feel refreshed and recovered enough to actually do my long run well and to actually feel good throughout it too. And it's not suddenly like I'm not wanting to spend time with them or wanting to socialize, even though I am quite the introvert, I will be honest. It's just, for me, running is something that I find such deep passion, but also an opportunity to be with myself and to have it as a form of meditation and medicine. For me, it does such benefits and good to my own personal mental health too. And I feel like I wouldn't be where I am today or pushing myself to grow in all these different avenues if it wasn't for running. I guess another realization I've had over this running journey is just how important my running goals are. Now, to someone who doesn't run and with an outsider's perspective, it kind of just looks like, oh, Jack's got the physical goal of running a Boston qualifier marathon time, when in reality, for me, it is much more than just a physical goal, but also the opportunity to grow both mentally and physically through such a challenge like trying to run a Boston qualifier time. And look, I'm just an average person, nowhere near an elite level. However, I like to think with all of my approaches to running, I do feel like I adopt quite an elite level mindset. I know that I've got a full-time job as well as family life, cultural commitments on the side too, but for me, running is that one constant that I continue to invest in and put healthy deposits into. And I guess the motivation or the tying factor for me is that ability to be mentally strong to run 2 hours, 55 minutes over 42.195 kilometers. Not saying that I don't have a strong mindset or the will to push through hard things, but really having it be a challenge where I need to be comfortable with being uncomfortable for a long period of time. In a way too, I feel like this is where I kind of thrive in terms of my own personal growth, by pushing myself well outside of my comfort zones. And Tokyo Marathon training was a key example there too, like with the incorporation of tempo runs that I had never done in my previous 3 marathon trainings, and realizing that after that little bit of pain for 20 up to 30 minutes, it all went away. And I realized, look, I've been through so much tougher things too, and I know that one day I will eventually hit a Boston qualifier time. And yeah, would have realized that no, there's much more harder things that I've done in my life. Moving to 2025, and again, another realization was running and training for the Tokyo Marathon was one of the only constants in my life at that point in time that was keeping me going. My job was just affecting my mental health drastically, and I just wasn't happy outside of running too. And this is where I've realized that one, moving into a job that really aligns not only with my personal and career objectives, it's like almost dead on aligned with my own personal goals and endeavors. Realizing that for me, as someone who is looking after 12 amazing individuals on their own marathon journeys, running for me is an outlet that I need, especially during this time, in order to be happy. For me, I find at the moment, really, out there on my runs alone is where I'm the happiest. And it's very hard to say that too. And I know that I still love my family, my friends, everyone in my life really deeply. But for me, that's where, just at the moment, that I'm most happy. And I feel like it's very hard to admit that as someone who's fallen so deeply in love with the entire act of running and training for the marathon distance. Now, I will admit, having the title of coach still sits very weirdly to me, training the 12 squad members this year too, but it does fill my heart with a lot of joy seeing them on their own individual journeys, and remembering, like, we've recently just had our first workshop where they completed 10 kilometers as their milestone distance, and now getting to this weekend, for instance, too, where some of them will be running 14 kilometers for the first time, and just seeing how much already they've grown in such a short period of time. It's like, yeah, just realizing that at the moment in life, I feel like I'm in the right place too, but also with the right people around me. And I guess being in a position now, like, I know my cup was very empty and I wasn't really willing to support anyone else while I looked after myself. I just wasn't in a position to care. Coming forward into 2025, feeling like I'm in a position to care and invest in these people, because they've really opened up my eyes to see just how rewarding and deeply satisfying coaching can be. After running the New York City Marathon, and especially going through COVID in Melbourne where we just weren't able to travel anywhere, I really got the travel bug in wanting to run marathons around the world. Now, I know I've also laid my eyes on completing the 6, now 7 world major marathons too, but in a way, this was a deeply personal opportunity to grow and see the world by getting to run around these amazing cities. Never in my life would I think to have left Darwin to move to Melbourne to go to university, suddenly run the New York City Marathon in 2023, and then complete another 2 additional majors in a couple years after. If you let it, running can really take you places, and I feel like this is the one way going forward in the future that I want to see the world. And I know that my family and my loved ones tend to question me as to why I'm choosing to run marathons in all these different places and not just wanting to go out and enjoy just a holiday being there. But for me, I find it more deeply satisfying and experiential, I guess, being able to run through the city itself too, and just get to see it in a way that you wouldn't get if you were just holidaying and going to touristy destinations or, exploring it. All right, I think I'm going to leave the video there, and thank you so much for watching to this point if you are still with me. Yeah, I feel like as runners, it can be very hard for us to relate to people that aren't runners as well too, but again, just wanted to say thank you as well for being a community of like-minded runners that I can actually go to and have people understand what I'm going through as someone training for all these marathons and this ambitious goal of running a Boston qualifier. Hope all is well over on your side of the screen, and I hope all of your running is going well. I'm Jack, and I'll see you next time. Catch up.